is turned down by the Zoning Board of Appeals, we only have a limited amount of time in which to challenge that decision. I don't look forward to that at all, but we only have a limited amount of time, so we certainly would want the planning board action as soon as possible, so that we know whether or not we're gonna have to go forward with the challenge if necessary. I hope that we can come to a practical conclusion. I don't mean to belittle the public safety concerns involved in this matter, or to suggest that the Board of Appeals should treat this matter lightly. But I do think, as I said, morally, it would be good if we support the building committee in whatever course it chooses as far as asking for special meetings and expedited decision-making.
I think the sooner that meetings take place, the better. I mean, I'm just asking procedural questions. So it goes to ZBA. If ZBA gives the variance, it goes to planning and continues. If ZBA doesn't grant the variance, where does it go?
The planning's got to decide if that access driveway meets the criteria of the street that they developed as a bylaw.
If we wish to challenge the Zoning Board of Appeals decision.
If they reject it.
If they reject it.
Yeah.
If we or the building committee asking us, the short answer is, the referee is Superior Court, but we being the board that has to determine whether or not to acquiesce in litigation, it, needless to say, it's an interesting fine point. Could there be a case of the Selectman of Dayton versus Dayton's own Zoning Board of Appeals? Heaven knows. I can't imagine it.
No.
I hope that we come to a more reasonable decision.
Hey, it was easier to build the Berkeley-Titan Bridge.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Next on the agenda, announcements.
Can you read the announcements? The Board of Health has Sharps disposal containers for sale for Dayton residents only at the office, $3 for quart, $6 for gallon size, $7.50 for a 2-gallon size. Once full, they can be brought back to the Board of Health for proper disposal at no additional cost. Recycling stickers are available for $1 for recycling containers of your choice. There is a prescription drug drop box now located at the Dayton Police Station. Please limit your disposal items to pill form prescriptions only. The following should not be disposed of in the drop box: creams, ointments, liquid, thermometers, syringes, IV bags, bio-waste, aerosols, inhalers, and EpiPens. You may also contact the Dayton Police Station at 508-669-6711 for more information. Sunday, October 25th, 2015, will be the Dayton Park and Recreation's 4th annual Pumpkin Painting Party in memory of Richie Leonard. Anytime between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. There will be hay rides, games, face painting, and pumpkin painting. Please bring a non-perishable item to donate to the Dayton Lions Food Pantry. Special thanks to Arujo Farms for making this possible. And just a reminder, folks, the food bank in October is on October the 24th, not the last Saturday, but the 4th Saturday. So October 24th, 8:30 a.m., lower level town hall. First annual sweet swap will be held Monday, November 2nd, 2015, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Sullivan Family Dental Office, 1209 Somerset Avenue, Suite 3, Dayton, Mass. Exchange your unopened Halloween candy for games, prizes, and snacks. All candy will be sent to U.S. troops in holiday care packages. It's held in conjunction with Saving Our Troops, Stoneham, Mass., and Cub Scout Pack 28, Taunton, Mass. A flu clinic will be held on November 9th, 2015, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon in the lower level of Dayton Town Hall. You must be 18 years of age. Insurance cards are required. Call Jen Sylvia at 508-678-0080 for more information. and this is held in conjunction with Rite Aid Pharmacies. On November 11th, 2015, at 11 a.m. at Town Hall, there will be an unveiling of a 48-star U.S. flag given by the family of Byron E. Buddy Haskins, World War II Bronze Star recipient. All are invited. For more information, contact Donald Hershey at 508-669-5027. The Finance Committee and the Zoning Board of Appeals are now accepting applications for new members. Please submit applications by, the Finance Committee is October 30th, the ZBA is October 21st at 2 p.m.
Yes, and I will say, zoning board of appeals applications for anyone wanting the open seat on the zoning board of appeals should come to the selectman's office. The finance committee applications can be given to a member of the finance committee or drop at the selectman's office, but we especially need the zoning board of appeals applications at the selectman's office.
Thank you, Nancy. I don't believe we have any old business.
No old business.
Under new business, first on the agenda, review, discuss, and act on a workman's compensation waiver for Michael Rodriguez for snowplow season 2015-2016. As is customary, we're getting ready for the winter season, and we do have independent plowers, snow plows, and personnel that come on board to help us keep the streets clean. And what we usually do is those that are self-employed, since they are not required by state law to have workman's compensation, we do waive it because they do have their own liability insurance, car insurance, and health insurance. Tonight, first request comes from Michael Rodriguez. I, Michael Rodriguez, owner-operator of a Ford 350 pickup truck with an 8-foot plow, wish to become a storm contractor for the town of Dayton for the 2015-2016 season. Since I am the owner-operator, I respectfully ask for a waiver for the workman's compensation insurance. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries.
Has the board set the rates for plowing this year?
Not
Yes.
yet. Not yet. We did last year. And last year was the first time we had gone up, I think, in 3 years.
We have. I think we voted on a while ago, but we decided
Is it for this winter?
to increase one of them, but the rest stayed the same.
Oh, okay. I take that back. We'll have to
All right.
look at the
I
minutes.
know Tommy usually comes in.
Yeah, there was, I think it was the bigger trucks.
Yeah.
We'll look at, we'll read them anyway. Next on the agenda, we have another request, and we will review, discuss, and act for a workman's compensation waiver for Samuel Pine, the snowplow season 2015-2016. To the Board of Selectmen, I am requesting a waiver for workers' compensation coverage since I am an owner-operator of the vehicle that will be used for snow removal for the town of Dayton for the fiscal year 2015-16. Samuel Pine Jr. I'll entertain that motion to waive his workman's comp insurance.
So moved.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? None being, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. The third item on our agenda under new business is to review, discuss and act to approve the registration for Selectman Goulart to attend the upcoming Massachusetts Municipal Association Annual Meeting in January 2016. This will be held at Heinz Convention Center in Sheraton Boston Hotel, Boston, January 22nd and January 23rd.
See that? Okay, I'm only requesting for one day. So the registration is, the conference registration, pre-registration is $160. There is the municipal luncheon of $29 on the Friday, and then there would just be my train fare and the usual. So I'm going to guess it will be, I don't know, maybe $230 in total, probably less, unless there is something that comes up that I'm not aware of.
Just the one day?
Yeah, yeah, because if you stay over, then you have to,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Yep.
but the workshops and the stuff that I'm interested in happens on Friday.
Okay.
Not that I'm not interested in their annual meeting, but I've done that a few times, and I get more out of the Friday.
That's not to say boring.
You was being very courteous.
I know it.
I'm still a member, so I,
Leave it to me. Oh, gosh, that's fine. I'll make a motion that we approve registration for Selectman Goulart to attend the upcoming Massachusetts Municipal Association Annual Meeting in January of 2016 in the amount of $230,
Or thereabouts.
or thereabouts.
I'm gonna step down and second that motion. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain from voting on that, Karen.
Nancy, how many of these have you gone to?
I would say, I was appointed to FinCom in 2002. I don't think I went to the first couple. So, 12 or 13. I only stayed over twice. The last one, as I said, there was a fire alarm in the middle of the night that kind of took the enjoyment out of it.
If you have abstained from the vote, do you wish to execute the document, or should I just pass it back to the clerk?
Oh, I can fill out the information,
There we are.
and I'll give it to, because an invoice has to be,
Do you wanna sign this, or? Are we approving it? You have every right to.
yeah, I'll sign it.
I wonder what would happen if one had voted in favor, one were not.
Well,
She would have voted.
it's as
No,
much an
I-
acceptance as it is an approval, so.
That's right. And next on the new business, review, discuss, and act on the approval of an amended contract between the town of Dayton and Borges Brothers Trucking Incorporated, originally dated July 1st, 2015. Patrick, this is the one we just did, right?
The Board of Health passed upon the amount, but the contract has to be executed by the Chief Procurement Officer. I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote to amend the original contract for single-stream recyclables with Borges Brothers Trucking Incorporated to include disposal fees for single-stream recyclables at $40 a ton.
Second.
That motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you're the only one who needs to sign that, but I'll pass this letter down the table because all three of us will need to execute this.
See that? There's no signature there, just mine. Just the amendment.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, reports.
Gabriel Heder, in his radio broadcasts, always began, there's good news tonight. And then, as Amos Taylor told me, sometimes the news was all bad. Anyway, it happens that there is good news tonight. First of all, Chief Roderick, our Emergency Management Director, appeared before the certification committee responsible for approving the disaster committee's application for full certification based upon our town's hazardous materials emergency response plan. The process for obtaining approval of the emergency response plan has changed a bit. And instead of his merely submitting the paperwork and being excused, he had to actually make an oral presentation standing before a board that included state-level hazardous materials response planning officials. He acquitted himself very proudly and spoke in strong terms, supportive of what this board has done in support of the disaster committee's bid for full certification. The result was that he obtained a vote of the certification committee granting the Dayton Disaster Committee full certification with grant eligibility for 2 years. And he will be welcoming Doug Forbes, the Region 2 Administrator of MEMA, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Administration, to Dayton at a date soon to make a formal presentation of the full certification certificate to the disaster committee at a meeting yet to be scheduled. We will await the pleasure of MEMA before we schedule that meeting. The disaster committee is a large committee. It consists of many agencies and departments of the town government and the county government as well that may be expected to respond in the event of an emergency. Hazardous materials emergency planning is one aspect of what the disaster committee is responsible for, but as our local disaster committee certification depends upon that aspect. And we have to thank Fire Chief Roderick for having, if you will, honchoed this application to a very stellar success. And secondly, I would like to report to the board that we have received this afternoon from Ron O'Connor of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health confirmation of his willingness and his ability, consonant with the state ethics code, to participate in a study of the structure and functions of the Dayton Board of Health, not as a state official, although certainly his expertise will thus be at our disposal, but as a resident of the town of Dayton. And he will file a disclosure that he is working or serving in this capacity in Dayton, and at the same time serving as an official of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. A disclosure which was recommended by the attorney for the Ethics Commission, whom he consulted. And we have also received favorable news from Somerset and Swansea Health Director Joe Cavallo, who has indicated that he will be able to devote time and input to our study as well, possibly as a member, although he will have to see what the meeting schedule is before he can actually jump on board that way. But he said he would at least be available as a consultant. Mr. Cavallo is in a unique position because he serves in two different types of situations. In the town of Somerset, he serves under a Board of Selectmen that constitutes the Board of Health. In the town of Swansea, he serves under a Board of Health that is appointed by the Board of Selectmen and consists of public health professionals, each of whom has expertise in a particular area, such as Title V and so forth. There's a doctor and Title V and so forth. So he is familiar with both a Board of Health that is the Board of Selectmen and a Board of Health that is separate from the Board of Selectmen. And his insights will undoubtedly be very valuable. So those are the two fronts upon which we have made good progress in obtaining professional support for a study of the structure and functions of the Dayton Board of Health.
That's great news.
It is.
Great news.
That's all on reports for me, Mr. Chairman.
Those, I didn't know we had received word of that today, those two individuals. That's big.
Super.
That
That's
is
super.
big, yep.
Yeah. I went to the Mass Municipal Association meeting today, Policy Committee on NHG and the Environment. Some interesting legislation. Steve Long, Director of Governmental Relations for the Nature Conservancy, and Jack Clark, Director of Public Policy at Mass Audubon, made a presentation on legislation, an act providing for the establishment of a comprehensive adaptation management plan in response to climate change. The acronym is CAMP. And what they want to do is, in not only New England, in the country, Massachusetts is an environmental leader in all areas. And no one has actually put together this kind of a management plan. And it's to deal with, they don't want to get into the argument on whether or not the climate is changing and the oceans are going to rise. Instead of doing that, what they're saying is, we need to plan for this, especially cities like Boston that sit on the water and just, another 6-inch rise in sea level. So this is, the legislation is Senate Bill 1979, and that's sponsored by Senator Pacheco, our senator, and the House Rep, it's House Bill 752, and the sponsor is Representative Smizek from Brookline. So Mark Pacheco and Rep. Smizek are working on this. So this is something that's coming down the pike. They came to MMA to make the presentation, and what they want to deal with is getting support from our committee and possibly having the executive director write letters to the appropriate committees at the state level. But just basically, the Commonwealth lacks a streamlined set of strategies, policies, and measures to manage the risks posed by increasingly severe storms, droughts, and sea level rise linked to changes in our atmosphere. So this is a form, if you will, of emergency planning, although the emergency's not here right now, but it would also be helpful in cases of weather-related items, probably like the suffering down in South Carolina. No. So that was one thing. Another thing that's coming down the pike, and I'm going to request a copy of this. They were talking about utility pole removal, and what a problem it is, because you have these two poles there wired together, it seems like for years, and they obstruct lines of sight, so forth and so on. So Newton has passed a resolution regarding pole removal. So I'm going to get a copy of that, because they were encouraging, we have a new member on our committee, and she is a ward alderman, Emily Norton, Ward 2. They have 24 aldermen, which they're going to change and call a city council eventually. But right now, there's 24 members.
Leave it to aldermen.
Anyhow, I'm going to get back to her, because I want to get a copy of that resolution. Because she was encouraging the people there to get copies of it and see what they can do to put pressure on utilities to get these poles. The town manager from Palmer was there. The chair of our committee is the town administrator in Charlton. So the state was well representative as far as different parts. Everyone complained about it. Everyone's dealing with this. It doesn't matter where you are. But the utility companies just drag their feet. One of the things we talked about was trying to get some revision in the energy stretch code, because a number of communities said, well, it hasn't gone anywhere in our town because the town wouldn't accept the stretch code. I said, well, that's a situation in our town. And the chair of our committee, who is, as I said, town administrator in Charlton, she says, we made good progress until it came to accepting that. And so they were talking about, see what can be done so that more communities can get that, if you can get that legislation or the CMR revised to make it more acceptable, then more communities can proceed with their plans for green communities. There was another one, Laurie Ehrlich, who is a representative from Marblehead. She has filed House Bill 2871. This is an act relative to gas leak repairs during road projects. And basically what the study is, that they've done so far, they rate gas leaks 1, 2, 3, and the higher the number, the more they ignore them. Because evidently it's cheaper to let the gas vent to the air than it is to fix the leaks. And she said that approximately $90 million is the cost to consumers per year in Massachusetts. And we're paying for gas that is vented into the air because the utilities are not fixing the leaks.
That's absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Boston has 10,000 gas leaks.
So,
I mean, in the streets. This is not, that's not in the homes. This is in the streets.
Yeah.
There are 10,000, as a matter of fact, there's a picture online that shows like an infrared picture of the rise of gas out of the streets of Boston and the cloud over the city that is cast by the escape of natural gas from those 10,000 leaks.
and that's just Boston, and it's everywhere. But anyhow, she has filed legislation that would require them to, when a road is going to be opened or something, and water mains are going to be, for example, Center Street was dug up to put in a sewer line. But there will be a requirement that the gas company is going to have to do something if there are leaks in their infrastructure, not just pave it or bury it and pave it over again. And this is to protect consumers of gas and electricity for paying for leaked or unaccounted for gas. At the end of the meeting, I said, well, on the other side of this coin is, we know that the Northeast does not have sufficient transmission lines for natural gas. So there are groups opposing and communities opposing more gas lines, but the intent is to bring more transmission lines to our area. And I said, so we're gonna bring more natural gas to the area so we can vent it?
That's correct. It's,
Does this make sense?
no. No, there's a moratorium on new gas services on Cape Cod. People who want natural gas on Cape Cod cannot have it because there is not enough crossing the canal. And yet, into the air over Boston goes an incalculable amount of natural gas. We had a similar situation, it's been partially addressed, not completely, in North Dayton with failed infrastructure, venting out of Mount Hope Street and some of our old streets. That the gas infrastructure in North Dayton dates back to the first decade after Mount Hope Finishing Company was founded at the turn of the 20th century. And 1911, 1912 pipes up there and so forth, never knows, but pipe failures had caused considerable. You could be walking down a sidewalk in Mount Hope Village not too long ago and really be taken aback by the strong odor of natural gas escaping from the sidewalks. A considerable amount of that, the worst of it, let's put it that way, has been addressed and is corrected. But absolutely, as a matter of public health, frugality and common sense, and to make our energy supply sufficient for the people of Cape Cod, yes, we need to make it mandatory that the suppliers of natural gas address leaks in their transmission lines and their distribution systems.
And that those of us who consume natural gas no longer have to pay for the gas that's being vented into the air because they choose not to make the repairs.
That's correct.
As long as there's no clout to make them fix those, they're not paying for that gas, the consumers are, you know, in the rate. That one, needless to say, that one got a lot of discussion. So this is her proposed legislation, and we'll be hearing more about that. The other two things that we discussed was the best practices that relate to solid waste management. And Jeff Beckwith, the executive director, has sent letters of position to the various senators and reps who are involved with the clean water infrastructure, sustainable water, solid waste. So these were all letters that followed up different discussions that the committee that I'm on had. Expanding the power cap, the solar power, or completely eliminating the cap. So I don't know how successful, but anyhow, this is some of the legislation that's out there that MMA, our committee has taken a stand on, and that Jeff Beckwith has written the letter, so that there was really a lot to discuss. And much to our surprise, at last month's meeting, we talked about, there was a pitch made for MMA to support primacy for the state to take over management of stormwater, drinking water, dirty wastewater. Because right now the federal government has it. MMA has not taken a position on that yet because one of the strong proponents is the mayor of Marlborough, because he has two treatment plants that the federal government will not give him permits for. So he thinks if the state takes primacy, he has a better chance of getting permitting, which makes me wonder, why aren't the feds giving it to you? There must be a problem somewhere. But anyhow, and my point to them was, when we talked about it, I said, all I can tell you is, having dealt with federal government after we were fined. We have not had a problem since then. Dayton is in good shape, and I didn't have a problem dealing with the federal government. So it's a question of the devil you know and the one you don't know. We do know this is the state proposal, is $10 million. It'll create 100 jobs at the state level, and I'm thinking to myself, do we want to do that? So MMA has not taken a position on that, but what MMA did do was contact we also had representatives from the state auditor's office in last month. And we asked that they look into this whole thing and come up with information relative to costs and things like that because of unfunded mandates. And when our chair from MMA, Tom Philbin, approached the auditor's office, they said, don't even write the letter. This has been on our list to do for quite a while. We're just going to do it. So they are going to pursue looking into this. So we'll be getting more information relative to that whole situation, including whether or not the state should be primary. And they keep saying, well, there's only 3 left, but I'm thinking to myself, that isn't a reason to do it. And when the strongest proponent in the room is saying, I can't get 2 plants licensed, my question is, why? Don't blame the federal government if there's something else going on. So that's the kind of stuff that was going on today.
Nancy, how much trouble would it be for you just to go back a couple of bills and just quickly, there was one that I wanted to comment on, I'd forgotten what it was. Could you just go back and,
Okay, we have,
what were the bills that you mentioned?
okay. Senator Pacheco and Representative Smizek, and this is an act providing for the establishment of a comprehensive adaptation management plan in response to climate change.
Yeah.
And that's the involvement of Nature Conservancy and Mass Audubon. And this is the bill just sponsored by Senator Pacheco, which is what's contained there. This is the Adaptation Coalition that support this legislation.
Okay.
Then there was the one for the gas leaks and the legislation for pole removal.
Pole removal, that's very important.
Yeah, and I will get a copy of that resolution that Newton has passed so we can see.
Did you mention a bill for revision of the stretch code or?
Oh, that was, what we said was, not a bill, but what we said was, as we were leaving the meeting room, somebody made a remark about what you need to do is, and they were really addressing this, I think, to Tom Philbin. What you need to do is to get on the bandwagon, see if we can get the stretch code revised, because it's holding up communities from continuing participation in trying to get their communities designated as green communities. So I don't know if somebody's going to look into that, but what the suggestion to Tom Philbin was, look into doing this, which means we may have a program on it in the future.
I'll be interested in hearing what Mr. Philbin has to say, and I'll tell you why. The Commonwealth jumped on board as soon as the International Building Code for Energy Conservation was agreed upon by a multinational task force. The Commonwealth anticipated that the United States would be on board with it and jumped right on board and adopted the International Building Code. It was at first a local option thing. It came out as the Stretch Energy Code, and it was a local option. It still is. I mean, a good part of it is still local option. But as it turns out, at the same time, the regulators took a lot of that International Building Code and put it into the State Building Code. A lot of that code is in effect statewide already, to the point where the green community regulators, the people who judge the applications of communities to become green communities, would not be amiss in just striking that from the criteria altogether. Whether or not a town has adopted a stretch code by a specific town meeting vote, enough of it is already in effect in all 351 cities and towns in the state, because it's a statewide thing, so that it really is not the big, it's not the big thing that it was when Green Community first started. It was important that towns that were green, going to be green communities, show that they had adopted it. But now, a good portion of it is already statewide, and I personally think, for the sake of towns like Dayton, you know, we understand the qualms our residents had about adopting the entire stretch code. I personally don't think it's that big a deal if it were to be struck from the criteria for green community altogether, and they just went ahead with these applications.
That was basically the kind of comments that were made, and that's when our committee chair, because we have Tom, who is from MMA, then we have chair from the group, she's from Charlton, and that's exactly what she says, that's why it didn't pass in our town. And I said, it would seem that there's a way to get this revised, and certainly striking it entirely, because it's part of code already. Why, you don't, if it's in code already, if you don't have an option, it's in code, you must obey it. So to put it into the Green Communities Act and say you have to accept it, that's what's causing problems for communities trying to attain green community status, but.
We ran up against.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's just,
yeah.
I know you're involved in input into these things, and I just wanted to pass that along.
Oh, yeah,
We mentioned
certainly,
it.
certainly, yep, yep. So anyhow, these are some of the things that we're working on.
Excellent.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, acknowledgements. Do we have any tonight? Oh, no.
No donations.
No donations. How about public input? Hi.
Good evening. I'd like to address the board. My name is Marjorie Kearney.
Would you like to come up here and sit down?
We want to hear you on TV.
Oh, no. No. Not what I was thinking this night.
That's all right.
My name is Marjorie Kearney. I'm here as a consultant to the Department of Early Education and Care. We have been given a grant for the Child and Family Community Enrichment, and being part of Region 5, which includes Dayton, we're also able to offer our grant to this community. We have partnerships in Dartmouth, I think Freetown's included, Fairhaven, Berkeley, and also Dayton and Rehoboth. I have lived in Dayton, so I'm up here asking if perhaps you have a suggestion where we would like to open is playgroups. We're targeting children to get readiness for kindergarten, that they'll enter kindergarten with the skills to succeed. We're bringing up the level of success in schools. We're partnering with some elementary schools in the New Bedford area. We've set up playgroups where parents whose children, for whatever reason, are not part of a preschool setting, but would still like to be sure that their child have the skills when they do enter public schools. So we set up playgroups. We bring all the equipment. Any of the material that's needed, we set it up, we take it down. We ask nothing else other than maybe we're hoping to find somewhere to host this. We've used schools, churches, like the Grange, Old Grange over here. I was thinking of that building. I'm not sure who actually would be in charge of that. But I had stopped in tonight to ask if Arugio's may have a table still for November 1st to try to reach out to parents and other schools in the community to see if they would invite us in. And someone suggested I come and speak to you today. So we have the money. We would love to set up a partnership out here with the community for parents to bring their children up until the age of 4 to 5 from birth. You know, we have a small infant group, even if they want to come for parenting skills or, you know, get the children. Each age level has different skills to get ready for schools. Earlier, it seems every year, they're looking for earlier and earlier skill levels. So that's what I'm doing out here tonight, is trying to find a host to set up these playgroups and to offer them to the community, families and children. They would come with their child, they would stay with their child the entire playtime, meet once a week. It runs 6 weeks, and then there'd be a break, and then they would start up again. And we'd be responsible for the whole thing. It would be of no cost to the town or no cost to the parents.
So you're looking for indoor as well as outdoor?
At this time of year,
Space.
we'd be looking for primarily indoor where the weather is going to get. My first thought was up here because of the playground that's, accessible along with the track and the buildings here. But for the winter time, we wouldn't be going out as much. It would just need mostly an indoor space where the parents could come, and we'd set everything up. We would, encourage and tell them the skill that we were aiming to teach their child for these playgroups, and they would work with their children on it and offer them ideas to take home with them, and
Do you have contact information?
I wasn't really planning to meet with you guys tonight. It was a surprise that you were here, so the only thing I do have is a business card from the woman that I consult with, who you could contact her to find out, or I could bring you some more information and bring it here tomorrow. I had just left a board meeting and popped in here and wasn't told maybe I should stay, so I really wasn't planning to have this opportunity, which, as great as it was, I wasn't expecting it.
Bob Mullen, who was sitting back there tonight, have you spoken to him about a table?
I did. That's why I was waiting. I actually caught him, and he's going to see what he can do. He said, that he would contact me. I did give him my phone number and name, and that's when they suggested I stay here and ask if there's any chance that somebody might know.
The program that you have, when you talked about the Grange Hall next door, does the grant program allow you to rent space or pay for space or reimburse for expenses related to space?
No, I believe that all the other host centers we have, like the public schools in New Bedford and the churches, just allow us to use their space for that one day a week. They volunteer the space, we volunteer all the staff that would come with it, and the materials and all that.
The hall next door, the Grange Hall as you call it, it would be the intertribal council that you would get in touch with. I don't know, have you contacted the school department at all?
I haven't, no. Let's say I just come back out here today from my job, and thought I would pop in just to get a feel and start looking around. This was an unexpected opportunity, so I figured. Just to get some ideas, if you had any other ideas of other buildings that, may be of use once a week.
This would be children not enrolled in a preschool program.
Correct.
So it's younger, it's even the younger group.
Well, some children, for whatever reason, maybe the parents are home, they're not needed to be in a preschool, or they choose to keep them home. We just want to give them also the opportunity to make sure that their skill levels when they enter kindergarten are equal, give them the best head start we can into the kindergarten field. It all came about with the Race to the Top grants that are coming down, and we want to share that grant money that we do have with all the communities that are in our region.
Would it be fair to say that the maximum age would be 5?
Yes, probably. They can begin kindergarten at 5. They start at 5, so up to 5. Probably more like 3-year-olds to 5-year-olds, and if there's some younger ones, then we have special activities for younger brothers and sisters, siblings that may come along with the families. So we would equip whatever, once we knew the ages, we would gear activities towards the ages.
I know myself, I'd be interested in anything you could drop off.
Okay,
And
okay.
at least you broke the ice here.
Right.
If,
It was kind of unexpected, so.
impromptu, but, we'd be gladly look over it.
Thank you.
And see what we can come up with options or sites
Okay,
what's
okay.
feasible for us.
I appreciate your time tonight, and
Thank you.
nice
Yeah,
talking to
you
you.
say you say one day a week?
Correct.
And it's essentially state funded. The funding is state funding.
Yes, it is.
Do you have a prepared brochure? In other words, when we put the minutes of this meeting online, is it possible that we could put your organization's information online with it?
Absolutely.
And perhaps scan your card on?
Oh, sure. I do have a brochure, but I don't have it, like I said, today I wasn't really expecting it, but I do have a brochure that tells you about the program and the grant. I could get it to you tomorrow.
That'd be good, that'd be very
I
good.
bring it up to you tomorrow and drop it off. What time you open until tomorrow?
4:30,
I could do that. No problem.
very good.
Is that good? Okay.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
We appreciate
Thank you
yours.
for waiting.
It was interesting, and I do agree with the building of the Dayton Berkeley Bridge. It does look very nice, though.
It does.
Thank you.
That leads us to adjournment.
Well, before we adjourn, I would like to make one more little note. As a matter of fact, I wonder if we can ask Mr. Olney to come up before we adjourn. Is it possible that Mr. Olney might be able to join us? Does his machinery downstairs have automatic pilot?
I don't know.
Cable Commissioner Ed Olney. If you're within earshot of this broadcast right now, could you join the Board of Selectmen's meeting in progress, please? I hope he can. While he's on his way up, I will say, I was meeting with our health inspector prior to the Board of Health meeting, just to catch up on a few details. Here he is.
Yes.
Would you come in and join us? I'd like to have you stand right up here with us.
He's gonna sit right there with the microphone.
Okay, he's gonna be by his microphone, sure enough, huh? Okay, we can't.
Can't deny him that.
Now, I had the pleasure of having Ed drop by while I was talking to Kevin Bernardo downstairs, just prior to the Board of Health meeting, and he told us that on November 19th, the Lions Club will be 60 years old.
Really?
in Dayton. In the world, at the end of this year and next year, it'll be 100 years old.
Really?
So that will be another celebration. Dayton will be 60 years old. Charter members, I know of one charter member who was alive, there may be one more, I don't know, but Dave Phillips, who is, lives down in what, South Carolina? North Carolina?
Zebulon, North Carolina.
Yeah, he was a charter member. The oldest member in our club, as, not in age, but as member, would be Frank Rogers.
Really?
Yeah. And then, unfortunately, me, but I joined as a little kid. And some of the accomplishments in the 60 years, what I'd like to let the town know, the Little League field in North Dayton on the corner of School Street and Chase, that was the first project that I ever got involved in. The next project took place right here, where we're sitting. Was the basketball court, tennis court,
Yeah?
hockey rink. Hockey rink was not a success. A great idea, poor thought. It was made of blacktop, and blacktop absorbs heat, and so it would melt the ice. So that didn't work out too well. But the tennis courts were here. And then when they built Town Hall, part of the arrangement was to have the tennis courts built down at the police station. And Lions Club, they got things done rather inexpensively. But we got that tennis court built, then we added on to it, and we coated it We put the sealer down several times. And probably a total cost of, I'd be stretching at $10,000.
Really? Wow.
And, yeah, since we lost control of that, the tennis courts have been out of business for 2 years. They were $80,000, an overrun of $50,000 more. So if you want something built, have the Lions Club do it.
How long ago did you build the pavilion?
The pavilion has probably been in, I'd be guessing 12 years. We put the addition of the library on the elementary school. You know, where that library is, we built that. Members built it with the assistance of some of the unions, the laborers union, and when they were putting in storage in North Dayton, we grabbed both contractors, and they contributed quite a bit toward building that. And we did put in a stipulation that it would remain a library, so that they wouldn't grab it for a classroom at some time. Yeah, the Lions Club have done quite a bit in the town of Dayton. And I've been proud to be a member, and I think we've done very well by the town,
So how long?
and the town's done well by us.
How long have you been in, considering you started as a child?
As I started a child, I'm on my 51st year.
Really?
Yes. I'm also an associate member of the Harrison, Maine Lions Club. So, you can't belong to two, but you can be an associate member of a second club. So my summers are spent up there with them. But the Dayton Club is my club, and we've done quite a bit. We tried to do everything local and support. We got the Arts Festival, we've had the Cow Chip, we have an annual auction. So try to provide a little entertainment for the town in the absence of the Rehoboth Fair.
You're involved with Lights On, aren't you? Somewhat?
Somewhat, yes.
Food, yeah.
And we've reconstructed the walkway behind the school and had it lit, behind the town hall here, and had it lit. And just had it redone again this past year. And now we, during the Cow Chip, and several times here, we have little tractor pulls out here.
Yep.
So it's been reconfigured a little bit for that.
How many years for Cow Chip now?
I think 23, but it could be more. I'd have to look at it, the ticket, because on our tickets it will say 23rd, 24th, and I can't really remember. I saw one of the original posters for the Cow Chip. It was only one-day event when it first started, and well, the carnival would come in for one day, and finally they talked us into having fireworks. They would split the cost and make it 3 days. And we have, and it's been a good success.
I remember for want of a better word, I can't remember what we called it by name, but I remember the eye truck and the light bulbs, and we still have the eyeglasses turning.
iMobile. The iMobile.
The iMobile.
Yes.
There we are. And we still have the spectacles turn in here in the lobby of Town Hall. Things to do with eyesight
Hearing aids?
Hearing aids.
and hearing aids.
We have one of the finest hearing foundations in the state, or almost anywhere. We're very, very fortunate to have a special deal with, right now, with Morton Hospital here and Spalding Rehab on the Cape. Both have hearing facilities, and people of low income and can't afford a hearing aid, they can get their local Lions Club to pay the initial cost of $200 for the screening, and they'll get their hearing aids. So adults will, I could be wrong on some of this, but the adults will get probably rebuilt, or maybe sometimes new ones, but young people will get new hearing aids. Along with that, we have put in systems in the elementary school with every room being wired, so the teacher has a microphone with speakers all around, so every child can hear. And that was done originally for one student, and it benefited so many others that we've done it throughout the school. And the voice will come from all angles, and their classroom work and their learning actually has increased. So that was a good thing.
I have to tell you, when I began as a trustee of the public library, I think I was first elected to that board in '74, I can't remember.
Well, you were probably a young kid then, too.
I was 19, but nevertheless, the public library had a tradition. The junior trustee was the clerk of the board and had to write thank you letters for donations. And I remember Mrs. Pilling used to bring out the thank you stationery was very precious indeed. It had the library's logo in Old English, and it was very small paper, but nevertheless, you had to write your note on it. I remember Mrs. Pilling said, "You're going to have to write a thank you letter to the Lions Club." She said, "I'll get you a piece of stationery." And I said, "What are we thanking the Lions Club for?" And she said, "They've donated the entire Holy Bible on long playing records." We had a stack of LPs that the Lions Club had donated. It was called the Talking Bible, the entire Holy Bible. For those who are hard of sight, they could hear any part of the scripture from a record. It was amazing. And I remember sitting at the table and writing a thank you letter to the Lions Club for that gift.
We provided 2 Braille typewriters 40 years ago, maybe more, to two young people in Dayton. Closed caption TV, I don't even know if do they still have that? They must. But we did provide one of those. Some of the things we do without recognition, we don't. We have members who serve on a committee, and if there's a need come up, we don't discuss names. The job is done.
Amen.
When we first started, was going house to house throughout this whole town, selling light bulbs.
I remember that.
I remember that.
And it would take us 3 or 4 Sundays, but it was a great, great time. Met a lot of people. Our light bulbs weren't cheap, but they still bought our light bulbs because it was for the Lions. And, Jaws of Life, the original Jaws of Life. We canvassed with the North Dayton Fire Department and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, house to house. Every house in town was canvassed to raise the money for the Jaws of Life. We provided the fire department, I think, with 3 cold water rescue suits. We provided defibrillators. There's numerous other things that we've done. Like I said, the townspeople support us, and at least more than 50% of our money goes back into town things.
I know
Like
you helped Eagle Scouts projects.
Eagle Scouts, we've supported every Eagle Scout from day one. This pavilion over here, we built along with the fire pit next to it. There's no charge of the residents of Dayton, and it's a great place. So.
Before you came up tonight, actually, but when we were talking downstairs, we were talking to Kevin and I, You talked a little bit about Maine, of course, and you're gonna go up and blow leaves for a day and then have some hot chocolate at the end of the day, and all your friends will go your separate ways, and you won't see each other again until April.
That's about it.
And you had some words of wisdom concerning the glue that
Oh,
makes things stick together and the grease that makes the engine run. You had a few words about the things that have made things like the Lions and so forth in your life a success and in the life of our town. And I wonder if you could just repeat for the people of Dayton some of the wisdom that you imparted to us a few minutes ago downstairs.
I don't know if I can remember that far back. So the main thing that I said that I had, they would like me to be a resident up there in Maine. They've asked me several times, and you know, I'm a resident here. But I said that I'm luckier than most. I have friends in two places. I have friends up north, I have friends here. And friendship is the best thing that you can have. I don't know, maybe any other stories. I had told so many stories, I don't remember. Well, but, yeah, well, mainly I spoke of the Lions. We've done quite a bit. Started with Lions that were involved in eyesight. Started with Helen Keller, came to the Lions Convention, and she talked to them and told them that they're looking for a project, and she wanted the Lions to be the Knights of the Blind. They took this as their major project. 10 years later, Helen Keller came to the next international convention, and she was also deaf. And she asked them to be also support the deaf. We support Perkins Hearing in Boston. We support, through, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. I am going to get the information to Mass Eye and Ear.
Number one in the country, by the way.
Yes.
Just named number one.
Because every dollar that we give to them, the federal government will match it 2 to 1. And this is for eye research, and they have done wonders. They've cured baby blindness, river blindness, and they're making great strides in research up there in Boston. And there's more than just Mass Eye and Ear. There's Scapin's Institute, there's Jocelyn Clinic, and I was very surprised that Brigham and Women's also has a small research. So
That's all through the Partners Group, Partners Healthcare.
yeah, we have tours that we can go into these hospitals and see what work they've done. So that's a few things that Dayton Lions has done in Dayton, and I want to thank the citizens of Dayton for allowing us to operate in town and supporting us. Nancy's helped us out with the wood every year. She's been one of our big, and all three of you have been judges at our cow chip.
Yeah, I've got a sweatshirt or two.
I have my own theory on the qualifications, but that's okay.
Well, we've still got more than a month before the actual anniversary, and during that time, during the months that we have between now and the actual anniversary, I hope that all the citizens of Dayton take advantage of every opportunity to take a lion and say thank you, and go to the Arts Festival at Arujo Farms and support the Lions Club. And between now and then, we'll be saying a few things more. What the Lions have done, both as an international, but especially as people among us in our own hometown, God bless them, and best wishes for many more successful years.
Thank you.
The only input I'd like to say about the Arts Festival, which is a great concern for me, take advantage of that parking at Mannheim Auto. It doesn't make sense to walk a mile, parking along William Street, to walk a mile, then have to walk all day long inside the Arts Festival, where you could park at Mannheim, get on a comfortable vehicle, be driven up to the front door, picked up at the front door, and brought back to your car. It just makes so much sense, and I wish more people would take advantage of that, really.
Are the schools going to have their art
Yes.
displays?
Yes.
I always enjoy seeing those.
How's that?
I enjoy seeing the schools'
Yes.
art, their displays, the artwork. 2 years ago, the middle school did, it was Chilluli's glass art, only they used plastic bottles. I had seen the Chihuly exhibit at the Museum of Fine Arts earlier in the year, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It looked like glass. It was absolutely gorgeous, the colors and everything. And then the teachers explained to me how they made it, but it was remarkable, just remarkable.
The art teachers in the Dayton and Rehoboth schools put in an awful lot, and they've contributed a lot to this. And we want to thank them too.
Even the preschool programs in town, some of the private ones they have
Yep.
super displays.
Well, this is what it's about. This is what the Arts Festival is. It's for the townspeople to display their talents, to let the schools show you what the kids can do, the music, the individual people who get up there and perform and do the music is just great. And it's their platform. It's their day.
This was a pleasant surprise, Ed. Thank you very much.
It was a surprise to me too. I just mentioned to Patrick, and I was totally unaware. I'd have some paperwork and facts and figures to back me up. I'm just going from memory, and sometimes I lose that.
It's better when it comes from the heart than when it comes from a piece of paper. And we thank you for being willing to come up tonight.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So when you grow up, you can come back and give us an update.
There you go.
Looks good for 40 though, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
Much appreciated.
Well, my colleagues, brings us to the end of another eventful meeting, surprises.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Cable. And again, thank you, Mr. Only.